The event occurred precisely 23 minutes into what Adam Schiff was convinced would become the pinnacle of his political life. He had entered the White House East Room thinking he played the predator, the chief interrogator finally trapping his quarry. For 8 years he had constructed this story, molding the character of the serious intelligence specialist. A figure weighed down by grim truths he could not reveal but only caution against. He believed this media gathering was his triumphal procession. He possessed no clue that he was positioned directly atop a snare. The arrangement was entirely without parallel. The administration had framed it as a summit for transparency, a head-on engagement to heal the lasting scars of the Russia inquiry. President Trump had placed his harshest detractors in the primary seats, granting them the initial opportunity to speak. The press erupted into mania, with CNN dubbing it the ultimate duel, and MSNBC broadcasting a ticking timer. The mood within the East Room was charged, heavy with the respiration of 300 journalists squeezed together, their lenses aimed like marksmen at the stage. Adam Schiff occupied a front seat, straightening his sleeves. Balanced on his leg was a notebook teeming with inquiries crafted to be impossible to resolve. He had practiced his vocal rhythm, aiming to sound severe, disillusioned, and commanding. He intended to inquire regarding the Trump Tower gathering, about Manafort, and about the ceaseless haze he had spent almost 10 years claiming was evidence of a blaze. Glancing about the chamber, he acknowledged his confederates within the media pack. He felt utterly untouchable. At exactly 2 o'clock, Donald Trump arrived. He did not march in with his typical explosive campaign vigor. No music blared from the audio system. He entered deliberately, holding a dense black folder beneath his limb. His appearance was composed, perilously serene. Setting the folder on the lectern, he fixed the audio device and stared straight at Adam Schiff. Trump expressed gratitude for everyone's attendance, his tone steady. For 8 long years, this nation has been ripped asunder by a falsehood. It was a fabrication repeated endlessly by individuals who understood the truth, figures who concealed themselves behind security access and secret meetings to mislead the American citizenry. Schiff became rigid. He anticipated an assault, yet this sensation was distinct. This was not a slur, but rather an introduction. Today, Trump proceeded, I am revealing the reality, the entirety of it, including every session, every note, and every spy analysis that was concealed from your view. He grabbed a handheld controller. Addressing Senator Schiff, Trump invited him to ask the opening query. Schiff rose to his feet. He accepted the microphone. He sensed the burden of historical significance. Beginning with a strong voice, he stated that for years there had been recorded interactions between the president's team and Russian agents. The public merits an explanation as to why you have repeatedly attempted to hide the details of these connections and why you disregarded the spy agency's cautions regarding vulnerability. It was a flawless inquiry. It presumed culpability and resonated with gravity. Trump remarked that it was an excellent question. He did not dodge the issue, nor did he assail Schiff's personality. He merely pushed a key on the device. To his rear, 2 giant digital displays ignited. A file materialized on the display. It was neither a social media post nor a political image, but a formal state record marked with high-security clearance codes, crossed out with a thick red stroke and newly marked as revealed on January 15, 2025. Trump gestured to the image, identifying it as the formal record of the Gang of Eight meeting dated March 15, 2017. This group is comprised of the chiefs of both political factions and the intelligence panels. You were present, Adam, as your autograph is visible on the register. The words on the monitor were enlarged. The font was sharp, administrative, and irrefutable. The heading read, FBI Counterintelligence Evaluation Concerning the Trump Team and Russia. Dated March 15, 2017, the findings stated the Bureau had examined numerous interactions. Detectives discovered no proof of organization, plot, or secret cooperation between the Trump operation and the Russian state. The inquiry is ongoing, yet no reliable data backs the theory of cooperation. The phrase, "no evidence," was illuminated in bright yellow. Trump vocalized the date, March 15, 2017. You were seated in a protected chamber where the FBI gazed directly at you and informed you clearly that they had located no proof of cooperation. Trump stared down toward Schiff, who remained upright with the audio device dangling limply in his grip. He asked if Schiff had heard that statement. He noted that Schiff had autographed the document confirming he heard it. That event took place on a Wednesday. Trump activated the controller once more. He suggested they examine Schiff's actions on the following Thursday. Schiff's pulse pounded against his chest as he anticipated what approached. He recalled the specific interview and the sensation of authority he possessed when delivering it, the rush of being the one privy to mysteries. Yet, staring at the file on the display, the frigid, undeniable evidence of what he was truly informed, he understood, with a nauseating drop, that the situation had shifted. He was no longer the protagonist of the narrative, but rather the antagonist. 78 million viewers were observing this metamorphosis occur live. The oxygen in the East Room appeared to dissipate, drawn out by the unified intake of breath from the journalists. On the monitor, the secret meeting record from March 15, 2017, stayed motionless. The phrase, "no evidence," hung there like a judicial sentence. Adam Schiff remained paralyzed in the primary row, caught in the harsh brightness, his thoughts sprinting to locate an escape route that was not there. Donald Trump offered him no opportunity to respire. He hit the key on the controller once more. The display divided, keeping the FBI file on the left while a video interface emerged on the right. Trump described it as the immediate following day, his tone surgically impersonal. On March 16, 2017, fewer than 24 hours after departing that protected chamber, you appeared on Meet the Press alongside Chuck Todd. The clip initiated, the sound pristine and thundering through the East Room's superior audio system. There appeared a younger, keen Adam Schiff, tilting toward the lens with that recognizable look of solemn national worry. In the recording, Schiff stated he could not detail specifics due to secrecy, yet he could assert he had viewed more than merely incidental proof of conspiracy. He claimed there was explicit proof of deceit and evidence of a connection that was profoundly worrying. Trump halted the playback. The visage of Adam Schiff on the monitor was stuck while speaking, appearing virtuous and confident. Trump rotated toward the actual Adam Schiff, who stood 10 feet distant, resembling a phantom. He reiterated the phrase regarding more than incidental proof. He declared that this was the statement Schiff made to the nation and the globe. He gestured toward the file on the left side. Yet the FBI informed you one day prior that proof did not exist. Trump inquired, leaning across the lectern with his gaze fixed on Schiff. He posed a basic query requiring a yes or no, asking if Schiff lied to the Bureau during the meeting or to Chuck Todd on the broadcast. The quiet that ensued was weighty enough to fracture a skeleton. This was not a policy argument where one could shift to general topics or safety issues. It was a dual-option snare where two opposing truths were shown together, meaning one must be a falsehood. Schiff lifted the audio device, his hand shaking with a slight tremor that was nonetheless observable to all present. Addressing the president, Schiff spoke with a voice reaching for command but sounding frail. He accused Trump of selecting one early evaluation from the start of an inquiry, noting that intelligence develops and interactions did occur. Trump ordered him to halt, not with a scream, but with the crack of a lash. He forbade the use of the term evolved. The Bureau stated there was no proof, while Schiff claimed direct proof, which is not development, Adam, but invention. You stared directly at the citizens, Trump proceeded with his volume increasing, and utilized your seat on the intel panel to peddle a falsehood. You instructed them to believe you because you had viewed the confidential files. You understood they were unable to view the records, staking your whole profession on the hope that these files would remain secret eternally. Trump motioned toward the display. However, they are no longer restricted, and the protection has vanished. He asserted that Schiff had frightened the nation. You informed elderly women in Ohio that their leader was a spy, told troops their commander was disloyal, caused millions to lose trust in their state. And you did so while pointing to the date on the file, aware it was false. You departed that safe chamber, applied your cosmetics, occupied that seat, and spoke untruths. Schiff attempted to interject once more, citing that the Mueller findings later discovered numerous examples of interactions. Trump bellowed that the Mueller report discovered no plot, striking the lectern with his palm, exactly as the FBI informed you in 2017, and the CIA informed you, and everyone informed you. Trump inhaled, settling himself. He gazed out at the journalists who were typing wildly, their visages illuminated by the light of the condemning monitors. Yet, it was not merely a single instance, was it? Trump inquired gently. If it were a solitary error, perhaps we could pardon it, assuming you heard incorrectly or were baffled. He triggered the remote, and the image shifted. A chronology now emerged, extending across the giant screen as a flat line noted with calendar days. Over the line sat red markers symbolizing spy meetings, while beneath sat blue markers symbolizing Schiff's broadcast spots. We verified the logs, Trump stated, pairing every instance you entered the sensitive compartmented information facility with every instance you appeared on air. In May 2017, Trump recited, "The meeting notes indicate no shift in evaluation, yet you appear on CNN claiming proof is concealed openly." In July 2017, Trump went on, "The notes call the Steele file unconfirmed and probably made up. Yet, you tell MSNBC the file is turning out to be correct." "It is a sequence, Adam," Trump declared, "not an error, but a tactic." Schiff remained there, the microphone seeming like a lump of heavy metal in his grip. He understood with frightening lucidity that Trump was not merely arguing with him, but disassembling him. He was seizing the sole asset Schiff had always depended upon, his trustworthiness as an insider, and converting it into proof of deceit. Trump remarked, regarding him with something near sympathy, that Schiff was no detective. You were a scriptwriter composing an espionage thriller for CNN, and you utilized the emblem of the United States Congress to market it. However, the novel has concluded, Trump announced, and we are merely arriving at the surprise turn. Simply lying about the meetings was insufficient for you, as you felt compelled to leak them as well. A fresh file surfaced on the display, revealing a record of calls. Schiff's gut plummeted. He recognized those digits, and he recalled those specific days. The snare had not merely triggered, it was tightening about his throat. The call record on the monitor was damaging, yet Donald Trump was not prepared to discuss unauthorized releases just yet. He desired to complete the examination of the falsehood initially. He wished for the crowd to comprehend the absolute magnitude of the fraud. A single untruth is an error, Trump noted, clicking the device to wipe the solitary file. Two falsehoods might be chance, But what Adam Schiff performed was a business enterprise. The display behind Trump altered, replacing the still files with a moving, scrolling visual. It resembled a market ticker, yet rather than values, it displayed dates, channel symbols, and citations. "My team undertook a small task," Trump mentioned, motioning to the wall of information. "We reviewed the previous 8 years and located every instance you appeared on TV, including CNN, MSNBC, Sunday programs, and evening talk shows where you asserted you had viewed proof of conspiracy." He stopped, allowing the timeline to roll on endlessly. "We tallied 227 instances," Trump stated, allowing the figure to linger in the air. 227 times you gazed into a lens, looked at the citizens, and uttered some version of claims that proof is obvious, or you have seen explicit evidence, or the confirmation is undeniable. Trump hit a key to view the compilation. A clip started to run. A rapid montage sliced for peak effect. It jumped to Schiff on CNN, claiming direct proof. It jumped to Schiff on MSNBC, stating it was more than incidental. It jumped to Schiff on The View, alleging abundant proof of plotting. It jumped to Schiff on ABC, citing evidence that is not merely circumstantial. The snippets arrived with increasing speed, showing Schiff in blue neckwear, Schiff in red neckwear, Schiff in a corridor, and Schiff in a broadcast room. The setting altered, and the questioner altered, yet the statement remained constant, a rhythm of deceit repeating the word evidence. In the display's edge, a numeric tracker increased with every scene, hitting 47, 89, 143, and 192. Adam Schiff remained in the front area, compelled to view a collection of his own duplicity. It was excruciating. The aggregate impact was ruinous. Viewed separately across 8 years, the spots appeared credible, but viewed collectively in sequence, they resembled the ramblings of a grifter attempting to peddle a monorail. The tracker reached 227, and the image paused on a zoom of Schiff's visage, appearing especially self-satisfied. Trump rotated back to the living Schiff, whose countenance was now void of any hue. He whispered the number 227 times. He added that they verified the meeting registers for every single one of those specific days. He indicated the screen, noting that every meeting replied in the negative. There never existed a second, not one, where the FBI or CIA informed you they discovered a plot, neither in 2017, nor 2018, nor 2019. Thus, Senator, Trump inquired, what proof were you discussing? Asking if it was unseen, fictional, or merely a screenplay you drafted to secure a spot on Rachel Maddow. Schiff cleared his airway, attempting to call upon the outrage that had benefited him for such a duration. He argued to the president that the intelligence landscape is intricate, with interactions that elevated serious counter-spy worries, even if they failed to reach the judicial bar of a criminal plot. I was addressing the danger to national safety. You alleged conspiracy, Trump's voice thundered, slicing through the deflection. You did not mention counter-spy worries. You stated you possessed evidence of a felony. You claimed I was disloyal, which is not developing intel. Senator, Trump said as his tone fell to a frigid serenity, but rather organized falsehood. You constructed a profession on a ghost, Trump declared, becoming a celebrity, gathering millions in funds, and securing publishing contracts, all because you pretended to hold a mystery that was never real. The chamber was quiet, with the journalists, many of whom had scheduled Schiff for those exact slots, staring down at their tablets. They were components of the compilation as well, and they realized it. Yet lying on broadcasts is one matter, Trump remarked, returning to the stage, calling it merely Politics. Filthy politics. But still politics. What you performed subsequently, Trump stated while grasping the controller, is a felony. The history of TV spots disappeared, the monitor turning dark for a moment to clear the slate before a fresh graphic emerged. This image was neither a roster nor a clip, but a mesh, a complicated connection chart illuminating the display. At the core sat a photo of Adam Schiff, with strands extending from him linking to symbols of large media houses like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CNN. We shall discuss the unauthorized releases, Trump announced, explaining that when secret data lands on the New York Times cover, the FBI becomes agitated. They probe, they trace who possessed the data, and they trace who spoke to journalists. Trump indicated the monitor, identifying them as call logs from FBI counter-leak inquiry files revealed today. He focused on a particular portion of the web. On December 12, 2016, Trump read, at 4:47 p.m., "A dial is made from your private mobile to a CNN creator, lasting 15 minutes. On December 13, 2016, Trump went on, "The immediate following dawn, CNN launches a report that spy bosses showed Trump allegations of Russian vulnerability, citing sources aware of the meeting." Trump stared at Schiff, naming him as the origin. He proceeded to the subsequent data entry. On December 18, 2016, at 3:22 p.m., a call went from your bureau line to Adam Goldman at the New York Times for 23 minutes. On December 20, 2016, the Times prints a piece that British spies gave proof to U.S. authorities, quoting congressional figures. "It is a flawless sequence," Trump said. "Call then article, 43 times." "You did not merely lie regarding the meetings," Trump stated, striding to the platform's rim, "but you leaked them. You took restricted data, mysteries you vowed to guard, and handed them to your media allies to damage me." Then, Trump added with a grim laugh, "you would appear on TV the following day stating you could not discuss secret topics, but found the report alarming, thereby validating your own spill." Schiff advanced, his tone more acute now. He told the president these were descriptions, claiming he was making assumptions from normal exchanges with the media, as Congress members talked to journalists daily as part of their monitoring obligation. "Monitoring," Trump retorted sharply. "Leaking secret intel regarding a current president is not monitoring, but a crime." "You armed your security access," Trump declared, utilizing U.S. government mysteries as political bullets. "You realized the FBI probe was discovering zero evidence, so you leaked fragmentary deceptive bits to the media to maintain the story's life." "That is not supervision, Senator," Trump stated. "That is indoctrination." He gestured to a particular row on the graph. "Observe this entry from January 10, 2017, where you phoned David Ignatius at the Washington Post, and 60 minutes later he prints the piece on Mike Flynn's calls, a criminal spill destroying a man's existence while you were on the line with the writer just before it released." Trump asked if he told him, asking if he violated the statute to secure a front-page story. Schiff offered no reply as he was unable, for denying meant risking a perjury snare while admitting meant acknowledging a felony. He remained there with the quiet extending, condemning him more thoroughly than any response might. Trump remarked to the crowd that he cannot reply because call logs do not deceive and time markers do not deceive. "For 8 years you informed everyone I was the safety risk," Trump noted, saying I could not be trusted with atomic launch keys and was vulnerable. Yet viewing this chart, Trump said while motioning to the network of spills, it appears the true safety risk occupied the chairman's seat. You spilled, you lied, and you were apprehended. Trump returned to the lectern, stating that while leaks are negative, Manufacturing proof in a formal impeachment trial is superior in severity, constituting fraud. Let us discuss the satire. Donald Trump arranged the documents on his stand. The mood in the East Room had transitioned from surprise to a morbid captivity. The journalists who had long regarded Adam Schiff as a supreme cleric of veracity were now observing his stripping of rank live. "We have witnessed the falsehoods," Trump said, "and the spills. But now let us discuss the drama." He triggered the controller, and the mesh of call logs disappeared. On September 26, 2019, Trump declared, during a House Intel panel impeachment session with millions viewing, asking if Adam recalled the event. "You chose to recite the record of my discussion with President Zelensky, or what you claimed was the record." The monitor divided once more, showing the genuine official text released by the White House on the left, and on the right, a clip of Adam Schiff in the chairman's spot, appearing serious and significant. "Let us hear what you related to the American populace." Trump announced he would hit play, and in the video, Schiff gazed into the lens and started reading with theatrical embellishment. He read that he desired a request, stating he would repeat it merely 7 times so one should listen well, wanting the other to invent filth on his political rival. Understanding there should be plenty regarding this and that. Trump halted the clip. He repeated the phrase, "make up dirt," and 7 times. He rotated toward the text on the display's left. "I am examining the record, Adam, and I do not locate those terms, nor do I see 'make up dirt,' nor 'listen good,' nor 7 times. You invented them," Trump stated with a monotone voice. "You occupied a congressional session with the U.S. seal behind you and recited a fake screenplay you authored. You placed phrases in the mouth of the U.S. president that were never uttered." Schiff advanced, his complexion reddened. He told the president that, as he declared back then, it was a satire, a description of the core of the corrupt request intended to communicate the seriousness. Trump cut in with disbelief at the word parody. "You are the head of the Intel Committee guiding an impeachment probe, which is not Saturday Night Live, but a judicial process." Trump retrieved a note from his garment. "You claim it was satire, so let us observe if the viewers understood the humor." Trump read that 63% is the portion of surveyed individuals who thought those were my genuine words, because you did not announce a joke, but stated, "This is the core of what the president conveys." "You deceived them," Trump said, "lying to them and manufacturing proof in a formal session to make me resemble a gang leader, because the real text was insufficiently damaging for you." "That is not supervision," Trump declared, while aiming a digit at Schiff, "but fraud." "You possess legal safety for your speech in Congress," Trump admitted, noting the speech or debate clause shields you. "You may speak untruths on the House floor and avoid prison, yet it fails to guard your standing, proving you are prepared to invent reality to achieve your desires." Schiff remained mute, as the satire plea had always been frail. Yet witnessing the false script alongside the true text made it appear pitiful. It resembled exactly what it was, a maneuver that failed. "However, you did not merely invent the call," Trump said while proceeding. "You also invented the origin of the entire affair. Let us discuss the informant." The display altered once more, revealing a fresh chronology centered on August and September of 2019. "The impeachment began due to an informant's grievance," Trump stated. "We were informed this was a courageous, separate nationalist who witnessed wrongdoing and advanced. And you," Trump said while staring at Schiff, "appeared on TV's Morning Joe on September 17th, where you were queried directly if you had talked to the informant." Trump ran the snippet, where Sam Stein asks if he has heard from the whistleblower. Adam Schiff answers that they have not talked directly with the whistleblower. Trump reiterated the phrase regarding not speaking directly, calling it a lucid and final reply. He clicked the controller, suggesting they examine the guest registers for his bureau. A file emerged, being a record from the House Intel Committee's protected zones. Trump read that on August 12, 2019, 1 month prior to the grievance filing, the whistleblower phones your team chief for a call lasting 43 minutes. On August 14, 2019, Trump continued, a face-to-face gathering occurred at your Capitol Hill suite, where the informant met your senior deputies. On August 28, 2019, Trump noted a second gathering where your team assists him in locating counsel and drafting the grievance. You did not merely speak to him, Adam, Trump said. You trained him. You realized precisely who he was and what he intended to state, because your squad assisted him in composing it. Then, Trump said, while motioning to the frozen video snippet, you went on broadcast and stared the citizens in the face and claimed you hadn't spoken. That is a falsehood, Trump declared, a straightforward, provable untruth regarding the roots of an impeachment. You were not the arbiter, Adam, Trump said, but the designer. You constructed the pitfall, baited the lure, and then feigned being an unbiased watcher when it triggered. That constitutes organization, Trump said, and concealing it is deceit. Schiff's lips parted to object, to clarify the distinction between we, implying the panel, and we, implying himself individually, yet he ceased. He realized how it would resonate, knowing that quibbling over the meaning of spoken with was precisely the behavior of a culpable individual. You conspired with the complainant, Trump concluded. You lied regarding the conspiracy and utilized the sham procedure to attempt voiding a vote. However, speaking of votes, Trump said with his tone dimming, let us discuss the major one. Let us discuss 2020, the portable computer, and the 51 agents. The atmosphere in the chamber became denser, as everyone understood this was the ultimate strike. The Russia probe was passed, and impeachment was passed. Yet the Hunter Biden computer tale remained a raw injury. That was the falsehood that potentially altered the course of time. You adore discussing Russian fake news, Adam, Trump said, calling it his preferred term. But in October 2020, you did not merely discuss it, you manufactured it. Trump hit the controller, and the monitor darkened. This, Trump declared, is the definitive proof. The East Room was sufficiently hushed to detect the drone of the drives running the screens. Donald Trump remained at the lectern, his look transitioning from the combative accuser to something softer and more perilous. He resembled a figure possessing the last segment of a riddle that would transform the image wholly. We have discussed Russia, Trump stated, and Ukraine and the leaks. Yet there remains one further untruth, he went on, one that did not merely tarnish a president, but rescued a nominee and shifted a poll. He clicked the device, causing the screen to go dark for a theatrical moment before bursting to life with a fresh file. Trump established the setting as October 2020, 3 weeks prior to the presidential vote. The New York Post prints a report regarding a computer owned by Hunter Biden containing messages, pictures, and proof of overseas commercial trades. And you, Adam, Trump said, turning to Schiff, knew precisely how to act, going to your manual and screaming Russia. This represents a secret meeting record from October 14, 2020, the date the news emerged when the FBI updated the Gang of Eight with you present. The file on the display was enlarged. The subject read, Hunter Biden Computer Foreign Sway Review, finding the machine authenticated with forensic study, confirming the data is real, and the Bureau locating no intel suggesting the computer is part of a Russian fake news drive. The FBI informed you it was genuine, Trump stated with a rigid voice. They said it was not Russia, not a breach, and was legitimate. Trump clicked the device to show 2 days later, October 16, 2020, when you appeared on CNN alongside Wolf Blitzer. The clip ran, showing Schiff appearing serious and commanding. He tells Wolf they know this entire attack on Joe Biden originates from the Kremlin. Clearly, the roots of this attack are from the Kremlin, and the president is delighted to receive Kremlin aid. Trump repeated the phrase, "from the Kremlin." You sat there realizing the FBI had just informed you it was not the Kremlin, and you lied to the populace 3 weeks prior to a vote. Yet you did not merely lie, Trump said. You arranged a concealment. He clicked the controller again, and a new item surfaced. Not a state note, but an email thread. We demanded these, Trump stated, referring to messages from your panel team. Trump read the date, October 17, 2020, from your chief of staff to ex-CIA heads John Brennan and James Clapper. The subject line requested an immediate letter regarding the computer news. Trump vocalized the message's content. It addressed the gentleman, stating, "The chairman believes it vital to present this tale as a Russian data ploy prior to the debate, requiring a declaration from top spy figures to provide the press an angle." Trump glanced upward, accusing Adam of authoring the note, the renowned missive of 51 agents. The note claiming the machine bore all standard signs of Russian falsification was arranged by you, with your team writing the arguments and you securing 51 ex-officials to autograph a falsehood you knew was false because you viewed the FBI file. And observe the result, Trump said, displaying a collection of banners showing Twitter blocking the New York Post, Facebook burying the news, and Joe Biden at the debate quoting the note to reject the computer. You suppressed reality, Trump declared, utilizing your access to deceive the press and tech firms into muting a valid report. That is not supervision, Trump stated, nor politics, but election meddling. You fixed the data conflict, Trump said while striding to the platform's brink, knowing the machine was authentic as the FBI informed you, yet deciding the citizens were forbidden from knowing that. So you generated a sham note from sham prose to back a sham story. Schiff gazed at the ground. The note of 51 had served as his brilliant move in 2020, the guard shielding Biden. Witnessing the private messages on a 10-foot display, the manufacturing of deceit revealed tore away the guise of nationalism. It was not state safety, but a political maneuver. You swindled, Trump stated plainly. You swindled the electorate. You swindled history. And you employed the Intel Committee to execute it. Trump returned to the stand and rested his palms on both edges. He appeared weary, not in body, but in soul, as though the burden of battling these falsehoods for 8 years had at last evaporated. We are finished with the visuals, Trump announced, asking them to be deactivated. The displays darkened, and the chamber was hushed. Trump regarded Adam Schiff, stating he possessed one final inquiry, while the display's blackness appeared to shrink the room, making it more personal. The performance had concluded, and now only the accounting remained. Donald Trump stood at the lectern, removing the theatricality, leaving only the frigid, solid truth of the proof he had just displayed. Adam Schiff remained in the front line, a lone shape amidst an ocean of journalists who no longer viewed him with esteem, but with the medical separation of pathologists examining a corpse. We have reviewed the history, Trump said, his tone low. We have viewed the Russia meetings, the Ukraine text, the spill records, and the computer messages. He tilted ahead, staring straight into Schiff's pupils. Thus, Senator Schiff, I wish to pose the query you have been posing to me for 8 years. Trump hesitated, allowing the quiet to extend until it became awkward. until the sole noise in the chamber was the click of a lone lens. How frequently? Trump inquired. He asked how often Schiff lied to the American populace. Schiff parted his lips, yet nothing emerged. Was it the 227 instances you alleged seeing proof of conspiracy when the FBI said none existed? Trump asked. Was it the 43 instances you spilled secret mysteries to the New York Times and CNN then appeared on TV to validate your own spills? Or when you invented a false text of my talk with a foreign head and read it into the congressional log as truth? Or when you conspired with the informant, then told the nation you never spoke to him? Or when you realized the Hunter Biden computer was genuine, but arranged 51 agents to label it Russian fake news to win a vote? Trump's volume increased with every query, a peak of responsibility. How frequently, Adam, Trump insisted. How often did you wield your clearance as an arm? How often did you gaze into a lens and mislead the individuals who fund your wage? Considering you spent 8 years labeling me a fabricator, Trump said, calling me disloyal, impeaching me twice, and ripping this nation asunder. And the entire duration, Trump stated, while signaling to the blank monitors, the entire duration, it was you. You were the individual clutching the definitive proof. You were the one concealing reality. You were the fake news engine. The chamber was paralyzed while 78 million home viewers suspended their respiration. They anticipated the counter-argument, awaiting the adept arguer, the Harvard attorney, the accuser to utter something, anything, to guard himself. Yet Adam Schiff uttered nothing. He remained there, wan and diminutive, as the mass of files, calendar days, autographs, and call records crushed him. No deflection could withstand the hard evidence. No background existed that could justify the autographs on the meeting registers. Trump observed him for an extended beat, then oscillated his head. "You lack a response," Trump said gently, "because the figure is in the thousands. You lied so frequently that you lost memory of what reality resembled." Trump collected his documents. The citizens merited superior treatment, Trump stated, meriting reality and an intel committee that shielded them rather than one that manipulated them. Rather, Trump said regarding Schiff with conclusiveness, they received you. This media session is concluded. Trump rotated and strode out of the East Room. He did not glance behind. The trance shattered, and the chamber burst into disorder, with journalists leaping up and yelling queries not at the vacant stand, but at the male in the primary row. They asked if the senator leaked the Flynn conversation, why he signed the note, and if that was his autograph on the meeting log. Adam Schiff offered no reply as he was unable. He seized his notebook, pivoted on his heel, and shoved his path toward the lateral door. His helpers attempted to shape a protective V formation to obstruct the lenses, but the horde was too dense. Amidst cries of "Senator," he maintained a lowered head with eyes locked on the rug, escaping the sight of his own ruin. The assured arrival from an hour prior was a remote recollection. He resembled a man attempting to race a tidal wave as he thrust through the twin portals, fleeing into the corridor. The visual was seized by 100 lenses, showing Adam Schiff, the figure who insisted on reality, sprinting from it. Within moments, the web detonated. The snippet titled "How Many Times" reached 93 million plays in the opening hour. The tag "Schiff Lied" ranked first worldwide. The proofs, consisting of sharp pictures of the meeting logs and messages, were retrieved millions of times and scattered across every interface. For 8 years, Adam Schiff had played the predator. But in 90 minutes, using merely a beamer and a pile of revealed paper, Donald Trump had converted him into the prey. The story had fractured. The evidence was public, and there was no returning the mysteries to the container. The session ceased at 3:43 p.m., and by 4 p.m., the public life of Adam Schiff was being dissected on every display in the nation. Donald Trump had exited the East Room, abandoning more than merely a shocked quiet. He had deposited a virtual abyss. The Schiff file, an 847-page collection of every meeting, spill, and untruth, was posted to the White House site. The instant Trump departed the stand. The host computer failed thrice in the initial 20 minutes due to the volume, while on cable broadcasts, the response was a blend of stun and panic. Fox News took a triumphant round, playing the adjacent snippets of Schiff's satire session beside the true text. Yet the genuine ruin was occurring on the channels that had constructed Schiff's image. On CNN, the hosts appeared traumatized, having engaged Schiff hundreds of times and broadcast his assertions of direct proof without skepticism. Now they were viewing the meeting registers bearing his autograph, papers demonstrating he realized no proof existed the entire duration. A CNN legal expert confessed it is difficult to harmonize, gazing at the file on the display, noting his autograph is present, and the notes state no proof. He noted that the following day Schiff appeared on their broadcast claiming he saw proof, which constitutes a difficulty. MSNBC attempted to shift, with one presenter arguing this is arming secrecy and claiming Trump is selecting files. However, the visitor, an ex-federal accuser, oscillated his head. The files are revealed and are open history now, so one cannot select an autograph on a register. He was present in the chamber, he understood, and he spoke untruths, which is not strategy, but evidence. By the following dawn, the barrier collapsed. 17 moral grievances were lodged with the Senate Ethics Panel prior to midday. They did not originate solely from Republicans, as oversight bodies that typically focused on Trump were lodging against Schiff, noting the severe misuse of security access. The Justice Department declared a re-examination of the leak probe. The call logs Trump had displayed, showing 43 dials to journalists succeeded by secret spills, served as a guide for indictment. The Schiff regulations of protection did not cover crimes enacted on a mobile device. However, the most savage strike arrived from his own peers in the Senate. The atmosphere was poisonous, as senators detest humiliation, and Schiff had just humiliated the whole body. He had employed the Intel Committee, the sole panel depending on total faith, as a factional plaything. A motion was presented to eject Schiff from the Intel panel. Typically, these ballots divide along faction borders, but not this instance. The tally was 67 against 33, with 17 Democrats crossing over to ballot against him. It was a shocking reprimand. When your own faction ballots to deprive you of your panel role, you are a walking corpse. They were no longer guarding him, but severing him to rescue themselves. The survey data in California verified the implosion as Schiff's favorability dived from 58% to 29% in 1 week, a 29-point fall. It was the quickest decline in the annals of contemporary surveying. The Washington Post, compelling itself to report the tale it assisted in generating, released a huge interactive piece titled The Schiff Chronology. It permitted users to browse through all 227 untruths, pairing the TV snippets with the meeting files. It became the most viewed piece of the year. Schiff entered seclusion, scrapping his public forums, scrapping his donor events, and rejecting all chat offers save for one catastrophic spot on MSNBC where he faltered through evasions until even the sympathetic presenter had to switch to ads. The untouchable senator, the titan of the opposition, had been diminished to a warning story. He was toxic. Publishing agreements were voided, and lecture bureaus abandoned him. The signers of the 51 agents' note started releasing declarations, alleging they were deceived by Schiff's team. The rodents were escaping the vessel, and Adam Schiff remained solitary at the wheel. 6 months post-media event, Adam Schiff stood at a lectern in a Los Angeles hotel hall. The space was partially vacant, with no applauding masses nor opposition vigor, only a weary-appearing male in a garment looking a dimension too large. After significant thought, Schiff recited from a ready text, his tone missing its former dramatic resonance, stating that following discussion with his kin, he had chosen not to pursue another term in the U.S. Senate. He omitted the media event and omitted the files, speaking of fresh episodes and handing over the flame, yet everyone understood the reality. He was resigning because he was destined to fail, as private surveys depicted him trailing the Democratic preliminary by 38 points. A novice, Katie Porter, had initiated a run with a basic motto, that truth counts. Her commercials were merely 30-second snippets of Trump's briefing where she needed to utter nothing. Schiff had ruined himself. Schiff concluded his address, accepted no inquiries, and strode off the platform. It was a silent, pitiful conclusion to a profession that had devoured the country's focus for 10 years. 1 year subsequently, Donald Trump relaxed on the terrace at Mar-a-Lago with the Florida light bouncing off the sea to his rear. A chronicler was questioning him for a life story. The historian asked the president, reflecting on that media event, if he held any remorse regarding what he performed on Adam Schiff. Trump grinned, not with triumph, but with the expression of a man who had corrected the history. He stated he did nothing to him, sipping a diet soda, but merely activated the illumination. He ruined himself, Trump went on, spending 8 years constructing a falsehood, thinking he was secure because the truth was secret, believing he could speak anything he desired without anyone auditing his work. He neglected that the president possesses the final authority to reveal secrets. So when the historian asked if he felt redeemed, Trump amended that the nation is redeemed. For 8 years, they were informed their leader was disloyal and were deceived by the individuals meant to shield them. The revelation repaired that, demonstrating to them who the actual deceivers were. The historian inquired about the moral. Trump tilted ahead, stating the evidence does not lie, which is the moral. You can deflect, you can perform, and you can possess the press's favor. Yet if the files state no proof, and you claim direct proof, ultimately, you will be apprehended. Schiff believed he was the clever individual, Trump said, thinking he was the accuser. But he neglected the primary law of prosecution, which is never pose a query if you remain ignorant of what the evidence displays. I understood what the proof revealed, Trump said while drumming the desk, because I possessed the records. The heritage of Adam Schiff was solidified, not recalled as the man who battled Trump, but as the man who lied 227 times. He transformed into a verb in Washington, where to Schiff someone implied lying about secret intel until captured. Congress enacted the Schiff Responsibility Law, requiring members to autograph a vow when speaking of secret meetings. The spy agencies renovated their notification rules, and whenever a lawmaker appeared on broadcast claiming to hold hidden proof, the citizens recalled the East Room, the divided monitors, and the quiet when the query was posed regarding frequency, knowing at last that the response was excessive. For justice had come not with an explosion, but with a folder